Good evening, all. Shalom. Today, I want to share a word with you that the Lord put in my spirit for the past 2 weeks. But today is the day to share it. And I am putting as a title Transition. Transition. We're gonna read it from the book of Genesis. But why transition? Today, or depending on what stage you are in life, what season you're in, or where you're standing in life right now. When we're going through a hard time, many people start saying, oh, you're just being tested, you're going through a bad season, you're going through a process. Hashem, God, is testing you. And no, it's not always that you're in a desert. It's not always that you're being in a process. It's not always that you're in a trial. It's not always a bad season. Sometimes it's time for a transition. And we're going to read from the book of Genesis. I'm going to share 2 verses. Genesis chapter 12, verse from 1 to 3. And we read the word in the name of Yeshua. Yeshua is Jesus. The Lord said to Abram, go forth from your native land and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and curse him that curses you. And all the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you. Amen. Thank you, Yeshua. So yes, transition. It doesn't always mean that you're in a bad season, that you're being tested, that you're in a trial, that you're in a desert. No. And this doesn't have to do with religion. This has to do of where you're standing in life, of what's your expectation, what are your goals, what are your plans, what do you pray daily to the Lord, what are you expecting from Hashem. And I'm going to use the word Hashem, Elohim. Elohim is God. Hashem is another name for God as the blessed one or the holy one. And Yeshua is Jesus. So we see the Abraham, later on God renamed him, Elohim renamed him to Abraham. We see the Abraham in Genesis 12. In order for him to be blessed, he had to be transitioned. He had to move. He had to obey the command to get out of his descendants' land, of where he was raised, because his family were idolatry. They worship false gods. And with Abraham, he received the transition of knowing the one true God of Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, Elohim, Hashem, Adonai. And in order for him to be transitioned, he had to obey. In order for him to be blessed, he had to obey. We don't see that he was in a bad season. We don't see that he was in a trial or he was being tested. We don't see that he was in a desert. In that time of his life, he was worshiping the gods that his father raised him to know. And when we're being transitioned, yes, we're going to go through a hard time. Yes, it's going to be scary. Yes, you're going to be confused because you're going to think that you're being trialed or tested. But no, when you already have passed the test, when you've already been through the process, it's time for the transition. Just like a butterfly. A butterfly, in order for it to transition, first it's a caterpillar. Then it goes in the cocoon. And then it's time for it to be a butterfly. But first it has to go in the process of the caterpillar and the cocoon. And the cocoon, the butterfly is being formed. It's being prepared to be transitioned into a butterfly. But in the cocoon, this is what the Lord ministered to me. In the cocoon, it's still in a process. It's being in the desert. It's being tested, trial. It's prepared to be transitioned, to be free, to be transformed, to receive the new, to be new. Not every caterpillar evolves in the same pace. And not every butterfly flies the same pace. And not everyone is going to be processed the same way. It's going to be processed at the same time. It's going to live the same trial. Not everyone is in a process. Many people are just being transitioned. They're just being moved. It's time for them to move. And yes, it's going to be scary, but if you don't move, if you don't allow the transition, if you don't move, you're not going to know what's in the other side. What is that the eternal wants to teach you? What is that the eternal want to give you? What is that the eternal want to show you? You're not going to understand why you have to go through the process, why you have to be in the desert, why you have to be tested daily. Not until you're prepared in the cocoon, just like the butterfly, you won't be prepared to transition, to move. In order for you to transition, you have to let go of the things that Hashem tells you to let go. You have to let go of the things that is not helping you grow, that is not helping you move, that is not giving you or bringing you the light that you deserve for your soul. Because our soul, in our soul, we have life. Because of our soul is our spiritual life. And we depend on our soul. If we don't transition, if we don't grow, either we're going to stay behind and not see the growth or the goals that we want, or we're going to just be paralyzed because we're afraid to let go of the things that we already outgrew. You see, the butterfly had to outgrow the cocoon in order to fly. And Abraham, in order to be blessed and be made of a great nation, in order for his descendants to be blessed, in order for him to know the one true God of Jacob, Isaac, and Abraham, in order for him to know that he had to move, he had to be transitioned out of his descendants' land because they were idolaters. And many times, when it's time for us to transition, we become such idolater of our comfort zone. We're so scared to be moved that we become so idolater in our comfort zone that we will become so close-minded to new knowledge, to new understanding, to new revelation, to new beginnings, to new relationships. We'd rather stay in the toxic. We'd rather stay on what we're used to because we're afraid to see what's in the other side of the transition. But you see, in the transition is where we're free. In the transition is where our mind is expanded. In the transition is where we see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not staying at the same place. It's not waiting in our comfort zone. Like if God is going to push you, if you don't make the decision and you don't know how to discern when it's the time of transition, the time is going to pass and it's going to hurt more. While the time is passing, it's going to hurt more because you're missing the time of transition. When you finally decide to move, it's going to be painful. And the only way to receive, to see, to understand, to grow is through transition. But first we have to go through the stages of the caterpillar, then the cocoon, then the butterfly. And we see in the scriptures that Abraham was obedient. He moved. Because later on we see that the Lord commands him, he has to let go of his relative Lot. He didn't want to leave Lot either. And it was painful for him to leave Lot. But in order for him to go to the promised land, he had to leave Lot. In order for him to be the father of the faith, to be renamed, he had to leave Lot. In order for him to receive Isaac, he had to leave Lot. And that's part of the transition. That's part of the movement of being transitioned. That's part of the movement of seeing growth in your life, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and your career, your surrounding, your relationships, is the only way through transition. Don't be afraid to go through transition. Don't be afraid to let go what you already outgrew. Don't be afraid to receive new knowledge, new revelation from Hashem, from Elohim. Don't be afraid to accept the verb that is Yeshua, his word. Because only through him will you be able to transition. Only through him will you stand through transition. It is a scary timing. It is a scary moment. It is a scary phase. Because you don't know what to expect at the other side. But at the other side of the wall, you will see the blessing. You will see the light in the end of the tunnel. And this is the word for this afternoon. I hope that in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, you're blessed. Share the word to those in need that don't understand and they're confused and they think that they're still in the desert when the Lord already took them out of the desert. When Hashem, Elohim already took them out of the desert. And it's time for them to transition, to be free like the butterfly. Shalom.